Well, you drink and listen to sad music, right? Isn't that how? Do the young people still do that?
I don't think we ever have done that, Dr. Boland. No.
We've only just begun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Love Talk. Love Talk is a series examining millennial dating culture, breakups, arguments, marriage, kids, and what makes relationships work for different couples. This is the second episode in the series. The first aired on Valentine's Day, and it talked about more of the lovey-dovey stuff, what makes relationships work, what dates couples like to go on, some of the more lighthearted things. Today, we're diving into the deeper issues. This second episode is going to examine breakups, how couples navigate arguments, and long-distance relationships. My initial intention was to make this into one video. However, all the people that I talked with today had so much great stuff to say, so I'm separating it into 3 video segments. Also, if you want to know more about the people or the couples that I talked to on this episode, their bios will be listed on my website. I'm sure there's a link on the screen somewhere right now. Without fail, the shameless self-promo. So the reason this episode is airing in the middle of March is because I did a little bit of research and I found out that this is the time when most breakups occur. I don't know if it's just because of spring and new life and you're realizing your relationship is dead. Sorry, that was real harsh. That was real harsh. Let's bring it down a level. The stats show that's the case, so figure this is a perfect time to hear from some people who are experienced in that realm, some people who have been through one really bad breakup and it was enough to inform their opinions about breakups as a whole. What was so fascinating to me when I was piecing this together is how unique each person's perspective on breakups was. So each individual had different experiences with breakups and also different coping mechanisms or different ways that they mended their heart post-breakup. Although it's a really painful topic to analyze, I think it's also fascinating to see how people navigate these really difficult times. And as many of the people we talk to today are going to point out, they expose some deep emotions that make you feel human. To experience this process, although it's terrible often, is really enlightening in so many aspects. So let's dig into it. Here is our discussion on breakups.
I mean, part of it, I think it depends on the person, right? So if, some people go through breakups and, if they have whatever, a stable family, a stable set of friends or whatever, then they work through that.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, let's say your family of origin is an unstable kind of place. Maybe you have like abandonment fears or something.
Yeah.
Well, then somebody breaking up with you, that's a whole different.
Yeah, it's
a whole,
trigger.
So not every breakup is equal in one way or another. Right?
Now, when you get your heart broken or even you're just really hurt by someone you care about or a relationship doesn't go the way that you had hoped or planned, it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
You really do feel as if your heart has been crushed. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's why it's called heartbreak.
Yeah, I suppose.
But you do get past that. Mm-hmm. And the expression time heals all wounds is kind of trite, but I really think that when it comes to breakups, it's kind of the only thing that works. Time and, maybe finding someone else if it's the person that helps you move on, not just, something to kind of take your mind off it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, that won't necessarily heal your heartbreak wounds long term, I don't think. But, so yeah, and I always try to remember, and I tell people this who haven't yet found the right person, I think it's all those experiences that you have, the people that you dated that weren't right for you, that prepare you in all different kinds of ways for the right person,
For me, I think a tendency for me when I'm going through like a separation or a breakup, like, first of all, I hate them because it's very unnatural for me. Like, I like being on really good terms with everyone, and like I do not like going through separation. So it's a very difficult process for me, and I think sometimes I almost like create this like idealized like concept of what the relationship was like. Like the relationship could literally be awful and I could be miserable in it. But then as soon as I'm out of the relationship, going through the breakup, like I start I'm like thinking like, oh, she was perfect for me, like XYZ, like these reasons, like we never fought, we were always happy together, and that could literally be not true at all. But I honestly 100% believe it, like as if it was fact. And so I'd say that's kind of that's kind of a challenge that I've run into. Haven't even really figured out a great way to work through it yet, but but
I was only ever in one relationship, fairly substantial one, and for me that was definitely one of those things where it was kind of that, I don't want to say turning point in my life. I'm 22 years old, but like, you know, like kind of one of those turning points with just like being able to look at myself seriously, and like really knowing, especially just coming out of like the first, you know, legitimate relationship. It was kind of one of those where it's like, oh, like what am I gonna do with myself? And like with other stuff going on, it was definitely kind of one of those where it's like, no, you know what, like you can control a lot of this from that. And for me, it was just, you know, having more self-confidence and happiness in myself. And like,
look, I think I've had more relationships than you have, and I think it sort of guides like what you actually want in a person, because like you said, like we said in high school, you know, it becomes like, oh, this person is attractive, we're gonna like date for a little bit, and it's like, you know, in high school it's like, oh, that was me. Ugh.
yeah,
like
maybe I don't actually like you as a person.
no, like no,
You got some really nice
I don't
hair.
want to do like I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, I love heartbreak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a masochist you are.
I mean, it's not so much that it's not so much that I'm a masochist. I just think heartbreaks reveal so much about the person and their resilience and their emotional resilience, and that it also gives you an opportunity to really evaluate what is important in finding someone to be a partner, right? In the same sort of way, so that, you know, my first couple of heartbreaks were amazingly human experiences.
I think it's in realizing that you can forge your own path and your own self-actualized being on your own. That's one tenet of it. But I guess the flip side as well is to realize that we need those people in our lives. We can't just go at it alone. And the most beautiful thing is finding those few people who you really intimately connect with in life, and you have this completely singular relationship with them, and you choose them over and over. You choose them, and we need that in our lives. I think we crave that, and so then when it's taken away, when it's robbed from you, or when it disintegrates, you're reminded of the fact that you had something that made you not feel so alone, and now it's gone. So it reminds you that you can do it, and that you are, at the end of the day, it's you and your brain and your life, but you don't want it to just be you and yourself. We crave that. We crave others. In heartbreak, it helps you realize both of those things.
I was never with anybody that I knew was important enough to me to be long-term. So it was something to do. You know, somebody to go to the movies with. But I mean, every person I ever dated before John, I knew wasn't the person I was going to spend my life with.
I guess maybe the biggest lesson that I've learned from breakups is it is okay for it not to work. You know, especially during my earlier relationships when I was more in the mentality of, you know, there is somebody out there who is like the one, the person meant for me. You know, going into a relationship with that kind of expectation and then that relationship not working out, obviously that's going to be very devastating. Yeah. It's like, you know, well, I thought this was going to work, it didn't work, oh, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, it forces you to take a perspective change, because this person who you thought, or the person who you thought this person was, turns out they're not actually that person. I guess even in many cases, how it ends up is that I can so appreciate this person without having to be this person's partner.
I definitely think more critically about it sooner, because I don't want to date someone for 3 years and then finally when I'm thinking about should I get married now, be like, oh gosh, I mean, I knew 2 years ago that we didn't have quite all these same qualities.
Yeah, we just ride it out.
I'm just trying to drag it out because I don't know, because I'm in a relationship and it's, you know, easier to be in one than find a new one.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
so
just,
valid.
I think that was one reason why I stayed in that one, because it was like, I'm in this one and it's not all that bad, but
Isn't that the dream? I can tolerate them.
I can tolerate them half the time.
But our breakup could be absolutely devastating if you've set your heart on maybe making a life with someone.
Yeah.
And then that other person wants to back out of that. I think your whole because all of your dreams are centered on this one person. And so then to find out now you've got to rethink everything, really, can be devastating. I also think, back to the social media thing, sometimes breakups can be complicated in that way. Sometimes people get dumped via text.
Yeah.
And that's not very pleasant, right? So I just think one thing that's so important is if you're going to have a healthy relationship, you first have to have a healthy sense of self. And if you have a good set of friends, then, and you have a good sense of yourself, then you can find a way to move past a breakup.
I don't know. When you go through those tough patches in your life and you wake up at 3 a.m, you can't go back to sleep, even if there's somebody next to you, you're alone at 3 a.m. So it's really about sort of getting to a place where, the you that you're with is someone you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to remind me about the question. Sorry.
I was just asking. I want to talk to you guys about breakups a little bit. Yeah.
We're at the Kleenex.
Bring out the Kleenex.
Kleenex. We're gonna
I
start.
You go ahead. I don't think I learned much from my breakups.
The thing is,
I'm airing this episode right over the mic.
It's not invincible, bro. Like,
Abby,
Just kidding.
like, wow, we can get through some pretty tough times. So, like, anytime I
Got the alarm going off in the background.
Get out of here. Hard questions.
A big part isn't that. Rewind. Sleep.
Right, John, give me close for that mug. I mean this mug.
Yeah. Ooh. I should give this motor. Should have practiced before coming out here.
Our partners Ben
Or
and Jerry.
Netflix binging, yeah.
What's the best breakup ice cream?
I'm not gonna pick breakup. Well, I did once. I was how old was I? 15.
You guys are just you just can't break up. You're just
No, just
too desirable. Everyone wants to hang on.
I agree.